With all the speculation around their supposed separation, it seems there are even more reasons to get into exactly why Harry has harbored so much remorse over his marriage to Meghan. Therefore, Worthy Now is counting down our second part of the top 10 signs Prince Harry regrets marrying Meghan Markle. Don't forget to share your predictions of their marriage below at the end of today's video, and let's jump right in. In our 10th spot, Despises William. After William, alongside Kate, openly shamed Meghan, Harry made sure to publicly mention the humiliation Meghan faced. At the time, the royal couple referred to Meghan as a quote, divorced biracial American actress. Ahead of his memoir's drop, Harry went on record to claim William and Kate were never ever fans of Meghan from the start, doubling up their insults when they backwardly claimed Meghan was also too good for the Duke. William and Meghan have supposedly never shared a good relationship though, and that probably worsened when Meghan seemingly co-signed the events of William being a reported jerk when it came to her husband. Brotherly falling out is normal, as is a wife's need to defend her spouse, but I'm sure William didn't appreciate being publicly slandered by Harry in his memoir, and having Meghan take part in the publication of it. Before we jump into number 9, be sure to check out the first part of this video if you haven't already. In our 9th spot, secretly fighting. The tale of Harry and Meghan being at constant war behind the scenes is not much of a new one, but it would be hard to avoid in this additional list. Ask just about any royal advisor and they'll tell you Harry is terrified of his wife and will list all the reasons, almost endless but especially tiring, why they believe so. According to Angela Levin, the Duke is at a constant nervous state around his wife. Apparently, Meghan is a sweetheart until you piss her off and then she gets all witchy. While the theory of Harry fearing his wife has been pushed on a massive scale, with reports going on and on about how he barely breathes around her or is constantly making sure her voice is heard over his. Take any clip from the couple's Netflix docuseries or even snippets of their Spotify podcast, and I'm sure there will be at least 10 royal experts picking apart what it could all mean. As long as Meghan is the scenario's villain, of course. In our 8th spot, not sticking around. When you remember how inseparable this couple has been from the jump, it may come as a shock that Meghan wants to separate her identity from Harry's. It can also be that his shine was previously too bright, or she feels like the media is slaughtering her enough to want some space, but Meghan has reportedly declared the need to find new friends outside of Harry's inner circle. While Harry was doing promotional press for Spare's release, Meghan was supposedly silently supporting while formulating her own list of celebrities she preferred to spend her time with. As she took a more backseat and partial approach to the release of Spare, Meghan was also insistent on not being labeled as an overbearing pick-me when it came to her husband. She desired to be seen as a person in her own right, as per Heat magazine. In a way, Meghan's annoyance is valid given the majority of her media persona is being defined as a attention-seeking control freak. But Harry was simply not a fan of her methods and reportedly was disappointed that his wife wanted to spread her wings. Harry, though seeming reluctant, approached it with grace in the end, noting how much they could benefit from some public separation. In our 7th spot, clashing with Kate. Aside from the bridesmaid spat, in which she said games were played and whose fault it was that Princess Charlotte's dress wasn't to everybody's liking and who made who cry, reports also insist Kate was harboring jealousy and insecurity over Meghan being a royal family member. This was alleged because of theories ranging between Meghan's former Hollywood status and the amount of attention she was showered with upon her entrance into the royal family, leading to speculation that Kate felt overshadowed by Meghan's sudden significance and forward personality. To be fair, Kate wasn't exactly given the warmest welcome into the royals when it came to her own marriage, so the theory could ring a bell if it were true. Regardless of what the real nail in the coffin was for the ladies, their lack of togetherness seemed to cause a lot more rifts for the collective royal group, like the coronation for example, and how insiders revealed Kate is apparently overjoyed that Meghan will not be there. I think it's more than safe to say if Meghan was beefing with her sister-in-law, there's a chance Harry could have regretted having her around the royals to begin with. In our 6th spot, steals the spotlight. We're back with yet another series of royal family supporters' opinions, this time because of how much they feel Meghan tends to interfere with Harry's spotlight. Assumably, Meghan has a habit of forcing Harry towards the back when it comes to press and cameras, all while she shines. In a way, her past as an actress could play into why she allegedly feels a need to constantly be at the forefront. However, she could also just have a calling for social media and general publicity, something she also had a past connection with. Still, her rumored need for attention mixed with the fact that she had to suddenly live a life full of secrecy and privacy probably didn't make for such a smooth transition. If we maintain the theory that the spouses are constantly at each other's throats, then we can also state this was something they potentially fought about the most. Meghan's openness about the relationship could very well serve as a major factor in her assumed desire to keep all eyes on her, even if that supposedly comes at the expense of her husband's disapproval. In our 5th spot, in-law tension. Charles and Meghan's distant relationship could be a factor for reasonable doubt of them ever being close, even despite Charles expressing his supposed disappointment over Meghan not attending his impending coronation celebration. However, Meghan has revealed their once tight-knit bond on several occasions, but clearly things got way out of hand in between them because reports flew about earlier this year regarding Charles allegedly offering massive amounts of money to sell off Harry's marriage to Meghan. According to news articles, Charles was issuing a high amount of funds as a bribe to get the spouse's marriage annulled. The divorce settlement was set at $50 million, and Charles' supposed reason for it, as per insiders, was because the king blames Meghan for all the accusations about the royal family. Sources detailed how desperate Charles felt to save Harry and described just how damaging the allegations about them were. As per Globe magazine, and in the alleged words of Charles, monarch is open to forgiving his son for the horrifying terms they've come to over the last 3 years. On top of this, it was speculated that Charles was already paying a ton of money to continuously provide for his sons, Harry and William, as well as Kate. Even though Harry came forward to dispel his father's alleged claims, stating how Charles was merely jealous of Meghan and was using the money as an excuse, a portion of royal fans assume Harry does secretly agree with his family and just can't wait to boot Meghan out the picture. In our fourth spot, distant from royals. Outside of the coronation mess we spoke about in the first part of today's list, Meghan has pertained quite a fair share of distance between herself and the royal family. She was asked off the invitation to visit the late Queen Elizabeth's bedside while on her deathbed at one point, and most recently faced rumors of isolation if she ended up choosing to attend the king's celebratory event. However, in between this, Meghan was ridiculed for her status, ethnicity, race, and just about everything else. Apparently by not just the royals themselves, but fans of the famous family and news outlets and media tabloids. Not to mention, how often did you ever see Meghan associating with members of Harry's family not in the direct spotlight, like Princess Anne, Beatrice, or Eugenie? Surely that meant she wasn't as close to the royals as it appeared, right? This could have caused some unidentified tension in their relationship if the rumors about them always fighting because they're not meant for each other are true. In our third spot, plays dumb. Allegedly, Meghan was clueless when it came to Harry and William's scuffle, but the argument of how she had no idea came into play right away when it was revealed through Harry's spare. If you don't already know, one of the prince's verbal spats turned physical when the two engaged in an allegedly violent fight. In the end, Harry claimed William damaged his back with a dog bowl and left with no remorse, but not before asking Harry to keep their argument from Meghan. There were already a handful of revelations that fans questioned at that point, including Harry noting how he informed his therapist about the incident before the mother of his children. But one of the biggest was when Harry made it apparent that Meghan continued to have no idea about the row and only found out accidentally one day when she walked in on him and the marks were still visible. Though not certain if this open book tactic was meant to vilify the royals further and humanize the Duke and Duchess, the spat was apparently surrounding Meghan and Harry's marriage, and the question begs to differ of whether or not their marriage is ever worth that level of supposed violence. In our second spot, beneficial liar. The general public truly seems to believe that Meghan only lies when it makes her look good. They're super set on their beliefs of Meghan endlessly co-signing Harry's fibs, if that means it makes them come out as the victims or the better people, but will never agree with anything that goes against that, supposedly. And while this seems like a load of trash talk, apparently, there is proof of Meghan's past that proves this theory right. For example, multiple reports have seemingly exposed Meghan for lying about the remembrance of events, or describing a spat or tiff as one thing at one time and as a completely different thing the next. Meghan has a history of being untruthful if it gets her ahead, according to reports. And the British media will be the first to agree with this, since they seem to hate Meghan's guts and everything she stands for. While Harry may also low-key tie into this point, rumoredly being equally as guilty as his wife, he could potentially only be lying because of Meghan. Or at least, again, that's what everyone would like us to believe. In our first spot, damaging past. One final thing that may make Harry regret his marriage to Meghan now is the Duchess's messy past. The most talk around Meghan and her life as a royal, then as a royal has-been, was that her family's history is reportedly damaging to the royals brand, and how she was supposedly a lower-grade American actress before meeting Harry. Years-long speculation of her also allegedly being a gold digger and attention seeker has played into the theory that she's killed Harry's reputation, and has served more bad than good since the moment she stepped in. Now, this is rather harsh, as all Meghan seemingly did was fall in love with the prince and successfully land a marriage with him, but royal fans will be the first to claim otherwise. Regardless, a lot of the British media, the general public, and royal experts assume Meghan's past, which is constantly being dredged up, is Harry's biggest regret after tying the knot with her. I mean, these are the same people who make it seem as if Harry's being locked up in a basement, being spoon-fed his public lies, and only given one meal a day. Like, come on. Until there's solid, valuable proof of their potential separation, I think we could all do a little more minding of our business. That's been today's WATN. I've been your host, Michaela, and thanks for watching, friends.